Hi, Jason. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Alicia. Nice to be here. Nice to be with you. And it's Monday, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. I love that. And thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate it. And, there's this particular anthem, and I use the word anthem because I say those words all the time to all of my guests. I want to thank you for two things, Jason. Firstly, thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Jason, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mangoes tree's got no mangoes on it. And it looks so dry, and I just walked past it. But you see, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around something changed. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And this time around I got the urge to move closer and have a good look. When I got closer, Jason, I was wowed because the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it. Beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. So it caught my attention pretty good. And I was staring at the beauty. Now the point is the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the request from me to be on the show. So thank you so very much for investing in yourself. Now we're about to benefit from the fruit of what you've done. All right. And secondly, Jason, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing I could do about it. Thank you so very much.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm way happy to share my experiences. If anybody finds them valuable, that's a big reason why I do it. Ultimately, I think as humans, we go through a lot, and it's quick. And I think that's a pretty vivid example that you gave of the mango tree because in life, you could overlook things but if you stop and sort of analyze the beauty of the moment and the things that you're surrounded by and you share being grateful, there's so much more to life that I think comes to fruition. And that's like the magic that happens, over the
Yeah,
course of, your journey. So listen, I'm happy to be here. I'm always down to help anybody that reaches out to me if I can. And I love sharing information. So I'm happy to be
awesome.
here.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Jason, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. For I believe in order to transition from a chaotic situation to that of a beautiful one, Jason, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. And you see, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge, in darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Jason on the show is for the sake of the listeners. Jason, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality information. I am totally convinced, Jason, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. We are just so curious right now. We want to know how you got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Jason, over to you.
Yeah. So great. I started my business career, being self-employed 25 years ago plus now. I can't believe it's been that long. Time flies so quickly. I never took a business class, in any college in my life. So I'm not from the traditional business background. I sort of learned by doing, and that has positives and negatives. But here I am. And I think that, looking back, I think a lot about the trajectory of my life and the things that I'm grateful for and the sort of the struggles that I faced along the way and some of the great luck that I've had and so on and so forth. But I've been able to just attach myself to this whole thought that you alluded to earlier, which is learning, right? I think that life is an expression of learning, in different moments. And you can apply those learnings to different things. I've applied my learnings over the course of my life to my business career and my personal life, my family, my love life with, my family and my wife. And I think it's all interconnected. As our journey grows and we learn, the things that you learn along the way aren't just applicable to your personal life. They could be applicable to your business. And I don't think that's has to be towards self-employment. That could be somebody that works at a job and putting their life into it. But personally, I started from a self-employed, I started business back when it wasn't even cool to start a business. And the barrier to entry to start a business back then was much higher than it is now, meaning like venture capital wasn't the way it was today. The advent of the iPhone wasn't around, and it wasn't even that socially acceptable or common to start a business. So it was quite extraordinary at the time, but I just did it. I didn't see any other way, to be honest with you. I started making money early. And through my years of growing businesses, I started in the consumer debt industry, helping people that had got into themselves into overwhelming credit card debt. I loved providing a solution for people and seeing the solution help their lives. I wasn't in love with the business model, but I couldn't really change that back in the day. And over the course of my career, I went on to build technology companies. I went on to build a business incubator that helped other businesses grow. We worked with some of the largest companies in the world and scaled it nationally. I've had the pleasure of working with the US government, serving as a special advisor, where I've ventured off to the Middle East to sort of like look and spread the word about community and entrepreneurship and building businesses together. I've written for several publications that are business publications, and I've had the fortunate luck to meet some great people along the way and mentor some great startups that it's like my way of giving back. And most recently, after I built my technology company, I co-founded, and my business incubator, I dove into a new project, which is going back where my roots came from, which is helping people get out of debt. But now I get to do it in a way that it applies modern technology and a way to disrupt the business model so that everyone can access it. It's not for the few that have thousands of dollars. It's for anyone that's going through a problem with their debt, which is something that drives me and my partners and the rest of our team every day to come up with beautiful solutions to a really ugly problem that we're facing right now in America. So that's the long and short of me and how I'm here. And yeah, that's it.
Amazing, Jason. You see, while you were speaking, you used many of my favorite words. The first one that caught my attention was help, and the second one was solution. And you also said something that really shocked me. You said you didn't like the business model, but you just did it because of the solution. And you said because the solution was helping people, and that's what you want. You just want to help people with the solution. And you also mentioned when you venture into helping folks with debt and all of those things, that's amazing. You see, according to Worldometer, there are over 8.1 humans on Earth. And I tell you, Jason, if everyone operates from this standpoint of, living solely to offer solution to ugly problems, the world would never be like this. It'll be way more better than this. And so your story, your journey is really, really encouraging and inspiring. And I love that. So let us talk about what inspired you to create Relief and how is it different from traditional debt management solutions? You got that?
Yeah. So what inspired me is what's wrong, what I see as wrong that I've learned from being in the actual industry. So what inspired me to do what we're doing now is that it doesn't exist. right? And that's what's also different. The question that you asked actually sort of answers itself, because what's different about relief than traditional solutions is everything that we feel is wrong with the current solutions, right? So, for instance, a lot of the solutions that exist for debt relief are fairly simple solutions, but they've been sort of held back and gatekept for people that need them the most. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the cost of entering a debt solution for a consumer, it's a very high barrier to entry, right? It could be, depending on your debt, it's a percentage of and depending on the solution itself, which is a whole other story. Customizing solutions for people is something that most debt relief companies don't do. They shove the solution that they're selling in front of your face, and you sort of have to take it because you're vulnerable and scared. And that's another thing I don't like about the industry, the fact that people are scared into these solutions and sold these solutions, and they're not specifically for them. And that's something that with technology we can automate and take care of as well. We can guide people through transparency. But the biggest problem that I had with the industry is how expensive it is. Let's just take one solution. When people fall behind on their bills and they've gotten to what's called a charge-off state, the original creditor has charged off their debt, meaning they have transferred that debt typically to a debt buyer who has purchased that debt for pennies on the dollar. The consumer is getting phone calls, their credit is dinged, it's ruined. And a lot of times people are trying to fix their situation. That fix is quite intimidating. And so they can call up the creditor, but they're bounced around because the creditor doesn't even own the debt anymore. So that's extremely frustrating. So what they do typically, if they get help, they'll Google or look on TV or see an ad somewhere that says, we'll help you with your debt. And you fill out a form online, and that form typically is a marketing agency where they sell your information. And now you're getting 30 calls from different companies trying to sell you their services. So on top of the collection calls that you're getting 30 calls from service centers trying to sell you, right? So and on top of that, it's a miserable experience. I mean, you fell behind on your debt, you feel crappy. And so this is the surrounding ecosystem. And then the services themselves typically charge a percentage of the total debt that's enrolled, which, let's just say you have, $10,000 of debt. They charge typically 25% of that as a fee. And that's a lot of money to go towards a company. So what we've done is, because we're software and because we've automated in these situations, we made these solutions simple, we're able to shrink down the cost of the solution itself. So we don't have to charge the consumer nearly as much of what they're being charged through these companies. It's a fraction. In some cases, it's X lower than what is typically being charged right now. And you don't have to talk to anyone, right? So right now, you have to get on the phone, you have to talk to someone, you have to listen to them, you have to be sold, you have to be consulted. With the app that we created, you don't need any of that. You just put in your information, and within minutes, you have access to a solution that is typically the same, if not better, than the solutions that you would have gotten paying thousands of dollars to get. So it lowers the barrier to entry, and it provides the help that people need without the stress that's attached to it. And so fundamentally, that's the one thing that it does right now, like in its current form. And we plan over the course of the next 5 to 10 years to expand all of these features to include every solution that exists and new ones that don't exist for people that are having trouble with their debt, which is abundant right now in the United States.
Amazing. And the beautiful part of it is, once they put in their data are safe with you. You don't sell their data like the
That's
rest
right.
of those guys do. Amazing. And
That's a very good point. That's a very good
yeah,
point.
yeah. And you see, I am really, really excited that there are still folks like you in the world because you're not the first person to discover that kind of a thing, but there are many folks who would have seen it but ignored it and even make some couple of cash from it. But you discovered it, you saw it. No, this ain't fair, and you created a solution because you have a loving heart, to help people get out of terrible situations. So now you say, I believe there would have been some tough moments, really difficult times, and you know, how were you able to overcome those periods?
Well, thank you, by the way. And like, you're right. I think that the solutions there are there are good actors in the space, right? We partner and work with some of the best in the business when we understand that they share the logic of helping people and not manipulating people. And there are some out there. They're few and far between, but they're out there. How I deal with the stresses of everyday life and business, which is abundant. Well, that's part of the reason why I chose to work on this project, is because if we execute properly, we're going to help millions of people. And every time I get stressed out or frustrated or beat down, because it happens often and it can happen every day, I look towards that goal and I know that I have to keep going. Because if I don't keep going, then it's definitely gonna work. The only way to be successful in anything is to keep going. And that's what that mission and vision of this business drives me and my partners and our team and everybody around us that helps every day to keep going, because it's definitively not easy. We're doing something that's never been done before in a space that typically doesn't want to be disrupted.
I got that. And that's why we have many divorces in the world, because we have two people come together without a vision. So you say when you look at your vision, when you go over your vision, it energizes you to keep going. I got that. So to bring this to an end, Jason, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you or make use of your solution or even ask questions, how can that be possible?
Well, so I'm on social media. My Instagram is at Jason Saltzman. My Twitter is at Saltzman Jason. It's reversed. My website for Relief is relief.app, but we're available both in the App Store and in the Google Play Store for Android. And we're servicing the US now. We'll probably expand to other parts of the world as we grow our solutions. But I urge you, if you are going through a problem with your debt right now, there's two things I want you to know. Number one, even though the situation seems dire right now, I promise you it's going to get better. And the second thing is, I have dedicated my life to helping you. So if you want to reach out to me and you don't want to go through the app and you have more questions, I answer DMs all day long. So use those platforms to get in touch with me. My whole purpose is to help you with your situation. And I know that might seem, kooky, but the reality is that if I'm able to help you and millions of people, that would have fulfilled a huge sense of purpose in my life while I'm on this earth. And I want you to know that directly. So let's go. Let's take care of this. You're not alone. And that's that. And by the way, on a side note, if you're building a business or if you're getting into being a founder, I love to help early stage entrepreneurs that are thinking about it or doing cool things. Drop me a note and I'd love to talk to you too.
Beautiful final thought. I love that. So that's gonna be the show, Jason. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this amazing stuff with us. It means a whole lot, man. Thank you.
You got it, Alicia. Thanks for having me.